Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of The Wild Side with Wildlife SOS. I'm Kartick Satyanarayan, the co-founder and CEO of Wildlife SOS. And joining us today is a guest from the UK who is very, very familiar with India. He's a very, very dear friend, and his favorite food being masala dosa and paneer tikka. We go back about 20 years. He's the CEO of a UK charity, International Animal Rescue, who are one of our major partners of Wildlife SOS. He was awarded an OBE, Order of the British Empire, for his dedicated service to animal welfare. Most importantly, he and his team at IAR UK supported us to bring an end to the dancing bear practice in India. Bringing to you Mr. Alan Knight OBE. Hi, Alan.
Hi, Kartick. Nice to see you.
Likewise, it's great to see you.
I'm sorry I can't be with you in person. It's a real shame that we're not traveling at the moment.
So, how have you been, Alan?
Considering the global pandemic, we're doing very well. I'm pleased to say that all of our projects are still running. We've had no indication of any virus problems with any of our staff around the world, so I'm delighted. I'm hoping that you're the same, with no one in Wildlife SOS actually succumbing to it at the moment.
No, touch wood. Thankfully, everybody is safe, but we had to take a lot of precautions. Lockdown has restricted our ability to function so much. Our movements have been restricted, prices have been skyrocketing, but the number of animals that were being sighted everywhere were increasing so much. And we've had all kinds of, wild elephants, leopards. Yesterday, we rescued a leopard just a few hours away from Delhi.
You'll remember that one of the other charities that I work with is British Divers Marine Life Rescue, where we save whales and dolphins and seals. And this time of year is very busy for everything. And we've got special status from the government, which is great because that took a bit of fighting, but we are allowed to go out in lockdown to rescue these animals. And basically, we've been called out much more than normal because people are on the beach with their dogs and they're disturbing animals that are coming out and just resting. So, there's a positive and a negative. So we're going out trying to tell people, please leave areas alone, leave them quiet. These animals are just resting. But we have seen dolphins and whales in places that we don't normally see them. So that's quite a positive thing. We're rescuing brown bears. Basically, the restaurants where they have the brown bears as exhibits for their customers are now being thrown out. And the places that we've been trying to get those bears from for the last year or two are now coming to us and saying, please take them.
Oh my
so
God.
We have 40 bears to come in. We've halved a lot of our enclosures in Armenia, and we're actually putting bears in. We saved 3 a couple of weeks ago, a mother and 2 cubs, and now we're in a position where we can take another 3, and we've just bought another 5 acres. So, as always, we're using it as an opportunity to expand. We're doing a lot of work now that we couldn't have done before. So, it's working quite positively.
And, I take a lot of pride in saying that you and I and Geeta and, Wildlife SOS, we've had such a long history of working together, since early 2000, with the mission to bring an end to the brutal practice of dancing bears in India. And together, we worked really hard. It was a lot of hard work, blood and sweat, but we succeeded and we rescued over 600 bears across India. So if you remember, we marked the 10-year anniversary of rescuing the last dancing bear. I still remember the day. It was 18th of December, wasn't it?
It was the 18th of December, 2009, and it's actually in my, on my heart as well. So I think the important thing, Kartick, was that a coalition was formed. Not any single one member of that coalition could have made this happen, but working together, we made the impossible happen. And if we'd have said to each other, really, that, it may take 20 years to do this job, and to do it in that time, I think it was 7 years in the end, that it actually 2002 when we started, was it? And 2010 when the last one came in. So 7 years has actually gone by and we managed to get. And since then, I mean, I don't think you've reported a single dancing bear since that date, have you?
No, they've always been on the border along Nepal.
On the borders in Nepal, which we always said, but I'm pretty proud of that, and I think it's one of the few times that I could say that in my lifetime, certainly, that I can say that an animal welfare group has truly finished a trade that's happened for over 400 years. So what else, what else can you ask for? So, and it's a sustainable, solid, but I know there's a huge amount of work that you and the team at Wildlife SOS do with the calendar gypsies now, making sure that they're safe, making sure that everything's okay.
Yeah, well, I need to thank you, Alan, for the 20 years of support and the decades of support you've been giving us.
I remember, Geeta was always trying to get the calendars to understand that we weren't going to rip them off and that we were telling them the truth. It only took one of those head calendar people to believe it, that then it went round like a wildfire, didn't it? And we had so many bears coming in and we didn't know what to do with them.
Is there a specific bear rescue that you remember, which is your favorite one?
First one that I met was, Raju, which was on the road to Fatehpur. And of course, the last dancing bear, that came up, which was also called Raju, I believe, coming up in Banagata, coming up that long path. And the bear was in quite good condition, I remember, considering. And I think every bear rescue is good.
There's one thing I wanted to ask you is I know you had a very successful business in the past. And, this was, I wanted our viewers to understand about, how you started your early days in animal welfare. I know you're also involved with the marine organization to protect marine life. And if you could speak very briefly on that, the good old days of the young Alan Knight.
I was always interested in wildlife and particularly butterflies. My father was always into collecting butterflies, but later on we got into breeding them and releasing them. So off I went and got in biology. And when I finished that, I wanted to get a job in conservation. And I remember I was offered a job which I couldn't accept because there was no money. So I went into industry and I started making microscopes. And to cut a very long story short, 25 years, I became the head of that. And I started two charities in 1988. One was with was International Animal Rescue with a close friend, John Hicks. And the other one was setting up British Divers Marine Life Rescue. And I was chairman of both for a long time. And after 10 years, I decided to leave my job and go and work for International Animal Rescue, which worked. And I've worked now, 1999 was when I joined International Animal Rescue, and we've been growing ever since. And John went to work in Goa. That's when we first mentioned Goa. That was another good story I remember, was that John and I were in Delhi. So we were in a taxi and we ended up following this ambulance, and we got to this little shady little door underneath the flyover. I think it was near Defence Colony, and outside was a cage with electric wires sticking on it. And we thought, my God, they're electrocuting the dogs. So we went inside and we met this amazing lady called Geeta Seshmani, and she spoke better English than me. And she came outside and explained that they weren't doing anything nasty to the dogs. They loved dogs, but basically they were welding the cages, which we just thought this was the start of a wonderful relationship. That's how it all started. And since then, we started a relationship with Geeta. She navigated us through all those amazing corridors of power. And then, of course, we met you, and it went downhill from there on. This is going to be back to front, but this actually says The Last Dance, right? And it's a book that's been written by me and another guy who called Sean White, who's a good old friend of mine. And Kartick knows only too well. We just haven't had time to sit down and write down the wonderful things that we do. So this is a book that's got the whole story from start to finish with lots of detail, lots of bits from the vets, from Kartick, from Geeta, explaining the whole way we work together. And I think it makes a wonderful story. We printed them and we've got them on sale. And if you want to get hold of one, you can come on to the website at internationalanimalrescue.org and place an order.
You know, most of your projects of IAR UK are based outside of the UK. How did you decide to help these animals so far away from your home and your country? It definitely takes a very special kind of generosity of heart to be able to do that.
I think, you know, the name International Animal Rescue, you know, is you know, we say what's, you know, it says what's on the tin, really. We actually want to rescue animals abroad. And I've been looking for projects around the world. And I think after we finished the bears, you know, I wanted to look a little bit wider. So that's when we got involved with the animals in Indonesia. But funnily enough, we decided that we weren't going to work with orangutans or any of the big, you know, icon species. Let's look at the poor old macaque, because the macaque, I love macaques, and I know you do too. And they're a maligned species. They're just treated as vermin. And it didn't take long before we had the biggest macaque sanctuary, and then the biggest slow loris sanctuary, and now one of the biggest orangutan sanctuaries in the world. And I think you're probably, you know, one of the biggest bear sanctuaries in the world. Is that true? You know, I think
yeah, the Agra
you've got
Bear
more than Jill.
Facility is the largest bear rehabilitation center in the world for sloth bears. Yes.
Yeah, and I also knew damn well that you were going to get involved with elephants, and having known that to feed an elephant, I don't know how much, 150 kilos a day do they feed on?
Much more.
Oh, more. And if you want to give them an injection, I don't even want to know the price of that. So I knew that we were into deep water if we were to stay with you. But now, of course, spreading the word. But I can honestly say the lessons that we learned in India of working together with other groups has forged ahead with all the work that we do, and actually working with people. You know, you taught me to work with the calendars, and Geeta was instrumental in getting the calendars on board. And that's taught me a very, very strong lesson that animal welfare and human welfare are inextricably linked. You can't do one without the other. And that leads all the work that we do around the world now. So I think that's a really important lesson, and I'll thank you for that forever.
You're very welcome, Alan. It's always been a pleasure to grow our friendship, and I think, you know, you and your team at IAR, and of course Liz, mean a lot to us. Talking of Liz, I know you share your home with Catastrophe Cat Rescue. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So Liz is my partner. She's been my life partner and my best friend. And we've been together since we're 18 years old. I'm not going to say how old we are now, but we're old. And basically, she decided she wanted to save cats. So for the last 40 odd years, we've been saving cats. And a bit like macaques, we tend to take the ones that nobody wants. So you basically have, you know, the three-legged, one-eyed versions. It's the three-eyed, one-legged ones that I really have trouble with. But we have a large colony of cats in our home, and I have to live with them. And I remember once saying to Liz, "It's me or the cats," and she just said, "Bye." So I don't have any choice. But it's a job that you know, she does very well. And we look at the veterinary side of it. They have very good veterinary care, and they live. You've been to my house. We live in the middle of nowhere, and the cats are very happy. So it's a sanctuary, and when cats come here, they stay here.
That's great. So now we're going to have a little bit of fun. So we're going to talk about Elephant in the Room. So this is a segment where I'm going to ask you a bunch of random questions, and you have to answer them as quickly as possible. Are you ready?
I think so.
What is your spirit animal?
My spirit animal has to be a dolphin.
Who inspires you?
Kartick Satyanarayan.
You're just saying that to flatter me. Try again.
Not at all, not at all. You do inspire me.
Thank you, Alan. I really appreciate that. Would you rather be covered in fur or covered in scales?
Oh, scales.
What is your favorite animal?
I love snakes. You know I love snakes.
Okay, here's a funny one. Would you rather have a bug bite you that gives you the ability to fly, or a snake bite you that gives you the ability to camouflage yourself?
I would love to fly. Yeah. So that would get me, but get the bug to bite me.
Okay, last one. Your abbreviated name in India, and I love using it, is LN, the two alphabets, LN. How did that happen?
I was waiting for you, believe it or not, at the airport. You'd arranged for a taxi to pick me up. And basically, the guy actually wasn't there. And I phoned you and you said, he's definitely there. I said, he's not. There's just a Chinese guy here waiting to pick up Mr. L.N. Nye. And it was L.N. Nye. And you said, oh my God, they've written it down incorrectly. It was L.N. was Alan and Nye was Knight. So, of course, he was there all the time. I just thought he was picking a Chinese man up.
That's such a funny story.
And I forget that from time to time, but I do tell people it. You know, it's quite fun.
That was really super, Alan. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. Do you have a message for our viewers?
I think I wish you every hope and happiness for the future. I hope that we get through this pandemic. I know we will. And with the amazing team you've got at Wildlife SOS, then it's only good news for the animals. So I wish you all health and prosperity for the future.
Thank you. And I hope to see you again soon. Take care. Stay home and stay safe.
I wish you stay safe as well. And you're always welcome.
Absolutely. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Visit the Wildlife SOS website for more information. Thank you. Stay safe out there. See you soon. Bye.
Ooh.